I did not ever expect heartbreak to this extent in my life. But the thing I appreciate the most is how I overcome that unfortunate event and settle the situation. That was indeed ruining my mental peace that time. I believe that taking control on your emotions sometimes help you to take a wise and smart step. Remember one thing in your life. If someone did you or show unfaithfulness, simple, flick ahead and make them anguish for the rest of their life. Let's backtrack and revisit the most annoying event in my life that is still fixed in my mind somewhere. I was a person who was far away from worrying about the future and lived every day of my life in a very good way. I've often wondered why people worry so much about the future when it's all about destiny. For this reason, my friends were also those who were concerned with enjoying life, and stayed away from those who were regretful and depressed for the incoming life. I literally hate the downcast vision people. Well, I don't know that someday I will have to disappoint like them and live my whole life. Understanding the bitterness of life. Our gang was very popular in the university because we were very extravagant and spent most of our time blowing money. The university teachers were very strict with us because we did not take classes very often. I like to spend time with my friends, in which we often go to parties, club and restaurants. Most of the friends were also having girlfriends to whom they were sexually active. But to be honest, I wasn't attracted to girls from the beginning because I think girls are unfaithful. I probably hated girls so much because my mother left me for another man when I was 6 years old. My daddy then brought me up and I got stepmother soon. I remember how cruel my mother used to be to me. She loved her own daughter, obviously more, and did not consider me at all. I cry a lot and miss my mother. But my tears would stop again thinking that my mother that left me for another man. My father used to dance to my stepmother's cues and he couldn't see anything else. Perhaps my stepmother was thirsty and was having a last-hour figure seduced my daddy the most. My father was crazy about my stepmom. Well, I have never exposed this, that my mother was also sexually active with some of her African friend named Jane and Justin. Seeing such a kind atmosphere in the house in which the disloyalty of the people is everywhere, my heart breaks. I hate my half-sister because she was such a lustful girl. But the sad thing is that my father would have preferred my stepsister over me and loved her more. Fate was so kind to me. And one day a caring nanny came to our house, which probably made me love more than anyone else. She was a woman who did her work with all her heart and cared for everyone. Maybe I love her more than anyone. Her daughter is mostly studying or engaged in some creative activities like gardening, painting, baking, and reading. I like her a lot, but I've never looked at her the wrong way. I had a strange hatred for every woman in the world except these two women. I remember how my friends booked a private room in hotels and moaning sounds were coming outside. I was literally having zero drive and hardly would do anything. I used to live a happy and single life, but neither boy can stop himself. After listening to the sounds coming from inside the hotel room, I was very surprised that the girl who got intimate with one man was getting intimate with someone else next day. I was very surprised that girl could be so unfaithful. My family was really tired of me because I used to spend most of the time outside the house, and it would often happen that months would pass and I would see my father's face one day when I reached home. I heard that Nanny was finally going back to her town. I remember how, when I heard the news of Nanny's departure, I went to the storeroom that was in the roof. I was very sad and I probably started crying like a child. That day, when I got there, I sat on the corner and started weeping. Maybe I did not understand how I could live in a house where I was hated everywhere. My heart would have been saddened to think that her daughter, who was probably the truest and most honest person in the world, would also be gone with her. I thought that my nanny was being forced out. When I asked her, she further told me that my stepmother don't want her anymore in this house. I could not stop them even if I wanted to because I was not valued at home. I insisted a lot to my grandmother that she should look for a small house in the same city and not go for the village. Finally, she agreed to me and rented a small house in our city. I remember very well that I used to visit her house 4 to 5 times a day. She would cook me good food and take care of me. I used to get a lot of comfort and peace going to their house. Maybe for some reason, there was a world of difference between the environment of their houses and our house. Now I spent most of my time with them. One day when I went home, my father humiliated me and threw me out of the house. Maybe because I did not listen to his wife, who told me to get some vegetables from the store. I honestly did not know that a person could be such a slave to her wife. Once when I was sitting in my room studying a novel named Troubled Memories, I heard a lot of very bad crying sounds for a moment. I felt as if a thief or a robber had entered the house. When I came out, I saw my father laying on the bed in a strange position. Probably he was dead for a moment. My eyes filled with tears and I was beginning to cry. But then soon I realized that how much my father had wronged me. Although he was my father, I was sad, or maybe not, for his departure. I don't know what to say. After my father left, my stepmother's attitude towards me became very different. Now, she used to take care of me a lot and never humiliated me. I did not understand anything. This was really surprising to me. The woman who could not see anyone but herself now used to give food to me. My sister, who doesn't even like to hear my name. Now, she often stays outside my room and walks back and forth. Now, the atmosphere of the house had improved. A lot. And I started to feel happy because you start to enjoy living in the house. Then I started thinking that maybe my stepmother is a good woman. My father used to forbid her to serve me. One day I was just returned back from gym. My stepmother came to me and asked me very lovingly, "Don't you know that you have now grown up without hearing my answer?" She told me that I should get married. Now, I was silent. I did not know what to say because at that time, I thought this woman thinks very well for me. So I told her, "What you gonna be side would be right." I probably wanted to tell her that I love my nanny's daughter, but I did not have that courage. Maybe I was too afraid of her. Then I did not know if my nanny's daughter loved weather or not. Then one day when I opened my eyes in the morning, I saw that there was a lot of noise in the house, as if a guest had come. When I went out, I came to know that she is niece of my stepmother. That girl was really very beautiful. She was really pretty that the viewer keeps looking at her. I thought it was love at first sight. The way she secretly smiled at me was testimony that she loved me. I don't know when my stepmother came to know about this. But one day she said to me, "Do you like my niece?" I looked down and smiled and answered, "Yes." I was extremely happy for the new beginning of my life. I felt like fate had been kind to me and like my dream had come true. Finally, we had a grand wedding with much fun, fair, and everyone had a fun. As I was cutting my wedding cake, I caught sight of my nanny's daughter. I could feel tears welling up in her eyes, but I fully ignored when the wedding night came. I was very nervous because I really don't know what to do and how to do it. First of all, I gave my wife a very valuable ring in a fancy, beautiful box. She did not particularly appreciate this ring and did not ask me to wear it on her hands. I think maybe she was very tired and wanted to sleep. I did not insist her to do anything but let her sleep, and she slept well. I was also quite angry that this girl made such an exciting night. So boring. When I woke up in the morning and saw her, I fell in love with her and kissed her on her lips. Suddenly, her eyes fell on me and she started smiling shyly. They were just immersed in each other's eyes. Suddenly she sat up quickly and went to the washroom. Maybe she had a vomiting. Well, I gave her some medicines which she refused to take. Next night, when I entered in the room, she was wearing a see-through hot lint tree. It was so erotic. I started getting close and we did our first adventure. I had listened from my friends that the very first time a girl would have an intercourse, it may hurt, there might be pain and bleeding, but she was totally normal. This was really perplexing. I did not notice this thing at that time. As time went on, she started gaining her weight and I suspected that I was finally going to be the father of the baby. Then I secretly took her to the doctor because she refused to go to the doctor all the time. She thought I took her to the doctor because I was sick from her too much weight. When we reached the doctor's room, she suddenly reacted the panic that I am very thirsty. Bring me some water quickly. She went inside the clinic without hearing anything. Maybe she did not know that the water bottle was in my hand and I was following her. I felt that it was all her pre-planned. So I secretly listened to a doctor's conversation with her in a very chaotic stage. He was telling the doctor that please don't tell the truth to my husband. I love someone else and this is my love's baby. I don't like this person to whom I married at all. The person commits corruption and snatches money from poor people. So I want to take all of his money and get his property in my name to return money back to the deserving people. If you support me in this, I will also give money to you in this way. We all will get rid of a cruel person too. Am I doing fair? She said I'm pregnant and will deliver the baby within 15 days. I was completely surprised to hear this lie of her. The heart was doing as if the earth would split and I would lie down on this earth. Well, I was very patient and controlled my anger at that time. Perhaps I had also come to know that my father had actually named the entire property in my name and not in the name of my stepmother and sister. Well, now I understood why my stepmother was doing so well with me. Last days, she wanted to get all the money from me without telling me that the entire property is in my name. I was in danger of my life because they all would kill me for me. I used to be very aware. My wife came and insisted to me that she wants to spend 2 months, stay at her father's home. And when spending time with her friends, I knew very well why she was doing all this. Well, I asked her to go and she went. Then I finally went to the court and I discussed the whole matter with the lawyer. I had put my stepmother in jail on one charge and pushed my stepsister out of the house. Then I bought with my nanny to my house and got married to her daughter. I often had nightmares in which my stepmother and my were beating me to the death. Finally, after 2 months, my wife came happily, probably leaving her baby at her friend's house. When she came into the house, she was totally surprised to see my wife and started shouting at me and calling me. I slapped her hard on the face and said, "I know what kind of girl you are. I don't want any relationship with you." I called her boyfriend whose child she has just delivered and told him that this girl is characterless. She has bad relationships with many men. This child is not yours, but another man. This woman can do anything for money, even exhibit her body. Also, I appointed his boyfriend in a good position in my office and offered him a good amount. Her boyfriend left her helpless and replied me, "Yes, you are right, bro." This gritty eyes were shining for money. Ian was highly excited. She cried a lot and begged his boyfriend but he did not listen. Moreover, her family also did not accept her. Now she's working as a waitress in a bar and struggling with her life with her kid. She must do regret all the time and must miss all the luxury and love.